Well, hello everybody, and welcome to. I was about to say this week's edition of Metaworld News, which it is, but it's the highlights for 2 weeks, a fortnight, as we say in Britain, ending 22nd of December 2019. And we won't be here next week, so next time you see this, it will be 2020, and all the fun can start again.
Mm.
The first show we're going back to 1920. I can assure you, because these things happen.
Yeah, it's how the brain works.
It's how the brain works
Right,
indeed.
right.
But I'm hoping I remember because 2020, of course, is 2020 vision.
Yep.
So maybe,
Maybe that'll
just
work.
maybe,
That's a good.
maybe it will
It's a
work.
good
Yes.
mnemonic, right?
Yes, I latch on to things like that. It sometimes helps.
Yep.
Okay, well, as I say, we have 2 weeks worth. Now, we're coming live to you actually from the OSCC Expo area, which is where we were 2 weeks ago. The reason we weren't here last week was because OSCC, the Open Simulator Community Conference, was actually live and happening. Um, there aren't any replays up yet, I'm afraid, so it's not my responsibility these days. So moan at somebody else, please. But I'm sure they will be sometime next year. Hardly current news by then, but they will arrive at some point, I'm sure. Amongst the highlights were my two panels, of course. I had one panel featuring um, Ghoster from Endgame and Blair from Mozilla Hubs and oh yes, Adam from Sciencebase, of course, who
Hmm.
was of course the founder of OpenSim. I had a special sort of hi-fi related panel on Sunday, which since the last news program, the sad news is that it's High Fidelity has stepped back from the brink yet again. Their workplace focus wasn't apparently getting that much traction, and they've basically open sourced everything that they hadn't open sourced already, except for a few things like voice codecs and things. And people are running around in the tizzy working on new projects using the High Fidelity code. And my Sunday panel there featured that. We had Elam from Kitely, who are doing the same thing, and you know them from OpenSim. And I have Michelle, the crone, who's actually she's a filmmaker, but she also does a lot of have been doing a lot of work with High Fidelity. And who did I have? Yeah, can't be, I can't
Hmm?
remember. I can't remember the third person. Oh dear, this is called senility. I think it's something to do with. Next year is going to be even worse, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, we talked about open source high fidelity, and I'll be coming a little bit around to that later. I think when we're following our links. Anyway, as I said, today already, the 22nd of December. Um, I, by the way, am Mal Burns. Yes. I've
Yep.
forgotten all about that.
Eh?
Who am I? Yes. How can I forget myself? Right, and I often say that I'd misplace my brain if it wasn't screwed on. Okay, yeah, you can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/malburns, all one word, Malburns. And you can also find another Twitter stream, which is twitter.com/metaworldnews. Two words squashed into one yet again. The feeds are the main one, the Mal Burns one is the main one. The Meta World News is more social worlds. They have a slightly different flavour, as you'll know if you follow them. I'm joined in the studio here, the outside broadcast studio, indeed it is, by James Atloud, who's my resident knob twiddler and occasional speaker. Sorry, that didn't quite sound right, did
That's
it,
all
James?
right. That's all right.
He's fitting, you see, he's fiddling with a board here, and that's actually all those so-called knobs are different camera angles and stuff like that. So he's handling all the streaming and shenanigans while I'm talking.
Those are
One of the things he
happy little thoughts, Mal. Those are good.
Yes, yes, indeed. And one of the things he does is broadcast my desktop to you. Well, I
Hmm.
broadcast it to him, and then he relays it to you while we're talking, so you can see the links I'm actually talking about. And, phew,
All right.
Right, I'm out of breath after that. Right, let's get started. We're going to start with the Malbones, twitter.com/Malbones feed. That's where to go. I'll mention it now and again to remind you if we get a long ur I can't read out or whatever. Um, the screen I'm starting with, which James will probably show you now,
Yep.
simply says the future of work, one world achieving together. Well, this was one of the links I had up on the feed during the week. And it's actually simply the landing page for, here we are, a company called Vera Bella. And this is a kind of cartoony sort of thing. Here we are. Vera Bella enables next generation remote collaboration. You can go for a free sample, or you can book a tour. And then they've got some examples of companies and universities using it. This is their main focus, as it were. Open camera, sorry, campus, team suites, enterprise campus, etc., etc. So if you want to know more about them, it's simply virbela.com. And rather than actually close that tab, I'm going to keep it open because it's a good tab to switch to when you want to look pretty and you've got nothing else to show. That's my take on it anyway.
Hmm.
Sorry, you can see I'm getting every notification under the sun here. Go away. They always come up at the wrong time. Right. I'm going to move forward now. I've actually got basically the past week up rather than the past 2 weeks. Once I've finished with the last week, we'll go back to the previous week, if you see what I mean, or at least highlight wise. Um, this was actually tagged. Where is it? AR VR predictions from 2010, getting the future wrong. This was a post at a site called digitalbodies.net, which you can find. This is actually, for simplicity, the link to the article they're mostly talking about there. And of course, they don't talk about AR VR here, they refer to it as PC gaming. But I just find it's that time of year, and I just find sometimes there's a bit of humour to be found in these articles. Basically, um, this year, of course, end of the year, people aren't just looking back over 2019, but they're looking back over the whole decade. So, they've got double the fun.
Oh yeah.
And this one actually in particular is looking at predictions people were making back in 2009 for what is coming in 2010 and beyond. And if you read that article, you will no doubt find it that well, not exactly. It didn't go exactly the way people planned. But then
Mm-mm.
again, we don't know the future, do we? Um, ha ha ha! 3D displays of the future? No, that didn't happen.
Oh, I'm
A
sad
Connect,
about that.
Connect, didn't really happen.
Yep.
um, Right, yeah, that was people mistake it as saying AR wouldn't happen as opposed to VR, etc. On live games on demand, well, that did happen, but there ain't no more.
Nope.
uh, mind reading body host programmable matter. Yep. Uh, come again, really. Okay, so you can find that at pcgamer.com. PC as in perfectly correct, and then gamer as in what people do when they're not being serious. .com. There we go. There we go. Right. Now we are back. Oh, yeah. Actually, this is digitalbodies.net. .net. www.digitalbodies.net. And this is actually the article that sent me to PC Gamer. So it's much more of their own sort of take on what is basically the same article. A lot of mention, of course, of Ready Player One and Steven Spielberg managing to film that. Also in the news, and I'm going to switch to a further earlier in the week tab here. Uh, the real book that started it all is often thought to be Snow Crash, and it's Neil Stephenson's novel from 1992. Well, it apparently inspired Facebook's chief VR researcher. Not surprisingly, really, it actually inspired a lot of other people too. Um, Now, like Sir Philip Rosedale have often mentioned it as inspiration. And the thing is, this novel actually coined the phrase metaverse. And we talked about the metaverse ever since. As the ideal sort of the 3D web, or actually, the whole. I'm seeing a lot of references now to spatial computing. Which
Hmm.
so we'll have SC now instead of VR or AR or XR or MR. Yeah, it's not going to be spatial computing. But over the years, the phrase metaverse has been adopted by a lot of us working in this sort of field and has kind of stuck. So kudos to Neil Stevenson for coming up with the word in the first place. But the news is um, that HBO, home box office in America, are doing a series based on it. I guess a bit like the way they've done Man in High Castle and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this could be right. I look forward to that. Although of course, having been only just announced, as far as I know, it's not actually in production yet. But I think the contracts have been signed and it's on its way, so to speak. And they're talking about Snow Crash and early headsets. And 30 years ago, VR headsets were very rare. Those that existed cost in excess of 50,000 US dollars and only have resolutions of a few hundred pixels
Mm,
on
mm.
each axis. Blah blah. Anyway, interesting article that goes with the news that that's going to be a extended TV series. So find that article at uploadvr.com. That's uploadvr.com. And let's see, December 16th was the date of that particular piece. Right, moving back. More entertainment. This time we're at road2vr.com. That's road as in the thing the cars go on. Wish they didn't. And then two as in TO, and then VR as in VR. So road2vr.com. Yes, big screen. This is a so-called VR thing. Basically, it allows you to bring IMAX type movies into your face. Not quite VR, and not really AR either. It's just an interface to 360 video, and actually, in fact, half the movies aren't even 360. The whole idea is you use your instead of having a big screen filling an entire wall right in front of your chair, you can actually use a headset to get the same effect. But interestingly, the concept of doing this, so to speak, is successful. They're going to be bringing paid movies into social VR platforms, showing select 2D and 3D films. And they'll be hosting four different films, premieres every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern. That will be Eastern America. Um, and currently, the suite's films include Transformers, Dark Side of the Moon, Ghost in the Shell, both from 2017, Star Trek from 2009, and Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, to be honest, I suppose that experience must be quite good. I mean, I've actually seen much more current films actually showing in places like High Fidelity and even Linden Lab Sansar. And you go in, then you just click the camera so the screen goes full screen, and there you are. Um, I guess the interface has to be a bit different for headsets, but yeah. Um, well, I guess there's space for retro cinema. Not everything is the special effects we have today, and actually, there's some good old movies out there that didn't have. If you have a liking for things, the original Star Wars or the original Superman, yeah, all
Mm.
those stuff. Anyway, yes, so you can use your headset as a big screen and pay to watch old movies. Yeah,
And of course,
yeah,
you're sitting in an audience with many other people, so you
yes,
can you
that
can
yes.
talk to those avatars that are in the virtual theater.
How do you do that? Yeah, how do you do it through chat? I mean, presumably you don't talk on voice, or you spoil it
I
for the film for everybody.
That's a good question. I would do it in voice. In the Oculus Quest, you'd be
Yeah.
chatting with your friends in voice because You don't have a keyboard really.
I noticed in when High Fidelity was going, they had a similar place, and I forget how it works. They certainly had it rigged a bit like OpenSync, where you could listen on one
Mm-hmm.
channel
Mm-hmm.
and then switch voice, toggle voice on and off on another. But of course, that did not stop people talking over the movie if they toggled their voice on. And well,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's the same with music. To be honest, I mean, if you've got voice active and the band is playing it, even if they're on a separate streaming channel. The voice, that you've got to manually turn the voices off so that you can hear the band and stuff. And I know, I mean, the fact is, when you're live or going to a live gig, the music is probably too loud to even hear yourself sing, let
Mm-hmm.
alone talk. But when it's virtual, of course, everybody thinks, I can, chat. And the worst thing is, even in text chat, I remember this in Second Life a lot. The inane things people would be saying while they're trying to listen to musicians. So it'd be, oh wow, and hey, you're great, and sometimes talking to the musician and distracting them, although they probably weren't reading it except in the intervals, and other times just sort of blabbering. It's like a blabber fest with the music playing in the background. It wasn't,
Yeah.
if you really wanted to, just turn chat off basically if you wanted to listen to the stream and
At least people
enjoy
be in
the,
their own chat channels, so that
yeah.
helps. You don't have
Uh,
to hear the whole theater.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. But I think part of it is the Twitter, Facebook sort of thing of
Yeah.
the echo
Definitely.
chamber.
Yep.
People just blabber nowadays for the sake of it, just to hear their own voice coming back at them. But some people like echo chambers, I
Yeah.
guess. Right. Yeah. Personal bubbles. Right. Varjo. This is another post at roadsvr.com. From December 16th, Varjo Technologies, Varjo. They've announced a new interface codenamed Varjo Workspace. God, that is highly original, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Designed to seamlessly let professionals use their window computer applications and 3D software tools with the company's recently announced developer-focused AR/VR headset, the Varjo XR1. Yes, Thunderbirds I'll go indeed. Right. Sorry, what's that? Sorry, sounds like a Thunderbird, doesn't it?
Sure.
Thunderbird 29, Varjo XR1.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, yay. Okay, the software is said to let users fluidly switch between pass-through AR and VR modes, which great thing that,
Mm-hmm.
which aims to let developers work longer with the headset itself and switch between modes when needed. Needless to say, the thing is about $10,000. We've actually covered it before, but the news here basically is the new interface they developed to go with the actual hardware. And if you read the article, you've got little videos and all the usual stuff. Um, it is editorial, but it's cunningly disguised advertisement in some ways. Right, moving on. Therefore, Helium or Heal AUM uses AR, VR, or wearables to reduce anxiety. I guess the heal of this helium is as
Mm.
in healing technology or healing. Yes,
Yeah.
it's a platform that uses virtual reality, augmented reality, and wearables like the Apple Watch, to reduce anxiety. In peer-reviewed studies, it's been shown to quickly reduce moderate anxiety and increase feelings of positivity. Um, the idea seems to be to grab all the toys at hand and optimize them to chill you out. Well, he says like that. Um, yeah, they've got some instances that they talk about here and talk about World Health Organization too. And I think, yeah, I think this is it really. This article is at VentureBeat. That's VentureBeat.com. And again, this was a couple of days ago, I guess. Quite a lot to read there if you're interested for sure. Videos, examples, and everything else. But yet another example of the way modern technology and VR type things, especially, are revolutionary to healthcare
Mm-hmm.
industry in general. Right, moving on, back to Rose VR. Busy week with them actually. Didimo! Yes, that sounds like a pussycat or something, doesn't it? No, maybe a dog. Yeah, Didimo, that's a dog, I'm sure. Right, they've announced 6.9 million US dollars in new funding to further develop 3D digital human capture. Um, that's a lot of money for capturing digital
Yeah,
humans. I thought
something that
most of the
feels
tech.
like it exists already anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think all the components for that sort of thing really are there already. It's a Portuguese-based firm. Oh, maybe it's not a dog. Right, okay. And they create digital models of humans. Probably dogs too. And they've announced they have raised the money, and various people are doing it. The funding follows. Therefore, this funding is on top of a 2 million US dollar European Commission grant for small and medium-sized enterprises. Um, I wonder if they'll be still. I wonder if the name will even mean anything in a few years, or all that money will have just disappeared as financing does. Um, creating high-end, high-fidelity, not the platform, 3D characters from a single selfie or a scan. Oh, that actually makes it even more astonishing where the money, how much money they need. Yeah, this exists already. You can pick up your iPhone and, in fact, High Fidelity the World. There's an app on the
Mm-hmm.
iPad that will
Right.
take a selfie and turn it into an avatar for you. And I have to admit, judging by the picture up there, I mean, it's not the worst avatar face I've ever seen, but it's hardly anything special. Um, So 7 million US dollars and add to that 2 million US dollars from European. And yeah, yeah, so they're in 9 million US dollars. Yeah, they're lapping it up.
All right.
Uh, no comment really.
Uh,
Let's move on.
good,
Move on
good,
before
good
I
work if you can get it.
good work if you can get it. Exactly. Good on, probably good for Portugal's economy too. Right.
True.
Oh, now this one, this is thearsenewspaper.com. I like this paper. I get it every day, really. This is behind a paywall. I don't know how often it renews, but I've got a little button on this machine saying I've viewed 2 out of 3 articles already. I think I've got a pass. I think on this, I can't remember. Um, it's Actually, I read most of these in my feed reader, so maybe I don't have a pass. I don't know, but they cover the whole world of art, modern art, classical art, and everything else like that. So it was actually an interesting place to find this article. We've covered before, 17th of December they published this. Um, we covered before the Mona Lisa at the Louvre and
Mm-hmm.
everything else recently. And they say museums are now pondering the power of tech experiences. And of course, this is very much an art world review of kind of what's going on. Obviously, Mona Lisa has got them all excited, um, but they're looking in a more general sense to the future there. Okay, so nice sort of article there. I wish I had a quicker way of getting to things on this Mac. I think it was this morning or was it yesterday? I downloaded a picture on the web from somewhere, which actually was a picture of the Mona Lisa, but somebody had photoshopped it so she was holding a cat in her arms. It was just too cute for words. Um, the cat,
Okay.
mostly. Right, okay. So that's at theartnewspaper.com. 3 actual words there squashed together. That's the one I showed you at the beginning. Okay, this is another offbeat one. This is GQ magazine. So that is a WW. What's it? GQ-magazine.co.uk. I think there's an American version of GQ actually, so maybe yes, yeah, different editions. This is probably uh, all over the place. We'll see. Anyway, this is talking about fashion. And you may think, hey, yeah, well, fancy looking avatars there. I have no idea what platform that is coming from. But the article from Burberry to Louis something and beyond, why gaming is the next big thing in high fashion. Yep, and they're looking at the connections between well, gaming, but also I suppose virtual reality and fashion. There is quite a big connection there because it's a two. You look at something like Second Life. This isn't Second Life. I would know from the avatars if it was.
Hmm.
Could be Sansa. I'm not sure. Um, it's a two-way thing. You get people creating virtual fashions for avatars in the virtual worlds, who just make micro, they're paid in micro payments, but if they sell enough, they actually can earn a living out of it. And then you've got real world fashion designers who now use virtual worlds and avatars to prototype their creations. And there's been of recent years, there's been quite a bit of overlap, like people who started designing avatar fashions and ended up making a success of themselves in the real world. And, real world fashion designers have realized there's a bit of money to be earned from the micropayments in world. There's other industries that have done it, I remember in Second Life, I think there was a Ford Motor Company at something at one point. They had a little showroom in Second Life, but they made model Ford cars and they sold the cars in world, and they didn't cost much. They probably didn't make much money for a company like Ford. They didn't really make much money out of it, but they made immense publicity. There have been other companies that have actually given away free cars to avatars because if an avatar gets in a car and drives it around all over the place, and as long as there's enough signage on the car, then it's free advertising. So, there's lots to be gained there. And I know the same has happened in fashion, for example. Fashion designers were literally given away items because they've got branded labels on them or something. They're literally advertising. So, a bit like you go to a rock concert and pay a load of money for a band T-shirt. And in fact, the band are making they're making a buck out of the T-shirt sale, but they're also getting massive free publicity as you spend the next week running around in it. A week later, of course, you put it in the laundry and all the silkscreen peels off, doesn't it? But so they've
So
cleaned
true.
up on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've cleaned it. They've cleaned up on you. It's sort of a same trick that Facebook used to the extreme. Right. Okay. So yeah, we'll read all about that at gq-magazine.co.uk, and there's a fair bit to read there. Mostly focusing the real world fashion side of it is mostly focused on London, but I'm sure you'll find stuff of interest there if you're interested. That sounds weird, doesn't it? Right. 3D rudder adds support for Oculus Quest using Oculus Link. Um, this is a foot controller thing called 3D rudder. Now, this is of no interest to you at the moment unless you've got an Oculus Quest. And there's a cable you can get that turns an Oculus Quest into an Oculus tethered thing called Oculus Link. And if you've got both of those, you can connect to a 3D rudder, which is hooked up to the PC side. Um, and VR dashboard unleashed, where yeah, I kind of you can see it from this picture. The picture is not greatly big here, um, but the rudder is down there where the shoes are. Um, have I got? I might have. I might have. Let me just try something live here. Oh no, no, darn it! So just did exactly the wrong thing. I've I got a zoom tool, but it zoomed the wrong parts of my desktop.
Ah, okay.
Right, okay. Oh, when you do these things live on air, do not. I tell myself. Right, yeah, but basically, they're not. It's not full pedal. It's more of a um, um, well, it's a movement controller basically that allows the use of your feet. It can be calibrated and whatever, and there's no nausea involved, unlike the headset may give you nausea, but the 3D foot rudder won't. So there you go.
Okay.
And you can use it with a combination of hand tracking technologies and stuff. So it's just one more to part of your body to plug into the immersive experience until there's now the real world left. All right. That you can find at vrfocus.com. So it's the letters vrfocus.com for that particular article. Right. This is from Mozilla's blog, their mixed reality blog. I did mention I had Mozilla Hubs on the panel last weekend. Um, this is just a general bit of information which maybe you should think about. I mean, websites are talking about this on the web all the while, but how much is that brand new VR headset really sharing about you? Now, if it's made by Facebook, you might be surprised. Information about your environment, physical movements and dimensions, location related information, information about people, games, content, apps, features, and experiences that you are not only interacting with but have interacted with, identifiers that may be unique to you, and much, much more. If Facebook probably knows everything about you, even if you left Facebook. And so Oculus being made by Facebook, well, put two and two together, and you've got 99.9 for sure. Um, be careful. What else can one say? Mozilla are obviously advising you to not dive into certain 3D headsets unless you know exactly what you're doing. Right. Oh, sorry, we're back to the 3D rudder. Right. Right, Yuvu. Yuvu
Hmm.
launches a new platform for viewing and sharing immersive 3D content anywhere. It's a startup. They're coming out of stealth mode and want to make high quality 3D models accessible anywhere on any device, whether it's a tablet, smartphone, or in a virtual reality headset. And they're launching a 3D sharing platform basically that will stream immersive viewing experiences on any device and anywhere. That's a bit of a repeat. It's a first of a kind platform. The company will offer photorealistic 3D streaming experiences of any format on standard devices. I think they've made this point. They don't need to repeat it for three paragraphs, do they? Um, I have to say the same thing five different times in a different paragraph. Right, 3D models of up to 17 gigabytes in size, such as CAD car models. They will be streamed smoothly on smartphones in full polygon count. Um, Computing power required from this heavy duty streaming will come from Uvu's own cloud infrastructure.
Hmm.
Um, and
That's
cross-platform
unusual.
variated. There's a lot of information to go with this, so um, it doesn't really seem to include an actual platform that is streamed. It just seems to be to do with the capacity to stream actual high resolution, mega resolution, really 3D content and get it accessible on any kind of platform. But that could be the beginning of something greater. Um,
Yeah. Does that
despite their
sound like Onlook?
well, no, Onlook was streaming platforms, wasn't it? Like games and
Right.
things.
Right.
This seems to be referring much more to 3D assets standing alone, if you see
Right.
what I mean.
Right.
I mean, that's the way they seem to be putting it in. You know, they don't talk about a world or even a room or anything like that. Um, 3D stream offerings have traditionally been housed in closed ecosystems. UV wants to unlock the potential of both augmented reality and virtual reality by making 3D medium freely accessible and available to everyone, irrespective of the kind of device. So you think that they're really anxious to get this point across. It's in every paragraph in different words. Product visualization could be um, or their best use cases. And there you go. You got a bit of
There you
Android,
go.
a bit of Windows. I don't know what that is.
That's
That's
Oculus.
is that okay? So it looked like
The one to the
Magic
right,
Leap.
the oval laying
Oh,
down,
that's
the
Oculus.
racetrack. That's
Yeah.
Oculus. Yep.
Oh, right. Okay. That's obviously Magic Leap. Don't know what that one is.
Unity.
Oh, that is it.
Yeah.
Right. And that one.
I don't know that one.
Oh, I can't think what that one
I
is.
can't imagine that one. There's
That's
a bite out
definitely.
of it though.
Uh, course there is.
Of course
Right.
there is.
Okay, this article is that you want the full address underneath there at the top. It's Virtual Reality Times. That's all three full words squashed together. .com. They call themselves VR Times, but you have to type Virtual Reality Times to get to them. Again, a reminder that all these links are on twitter.com/Malburns feed. You can always, much easier than typing links, you can just click through from there, of course. Um, and that's good. And if you're following articles to Medium and some of the other paywall sites, you will find that when you're clicking from Twitter, you can get in. You bypass the paywall because it is. I don't know. They seem to have some arrangement with Twitter, whereas people following Twitter links can get past the paywalls. I think it's PR for things like Medium, the company, whatever. Right, moving on. Forbes, yes, good old Forbes. They do a lot of stuff these days on our favourite topic. Um, Virtual world and a third place may just save your health. Now, again, this is looking at health side of virtuality and stuff. A third place is a term coined by sociologists and refers to places where people spend time between home, which is the first place, and work, which is the second place. They tend to be locations where people exchange ideas, have a good time, build relationships. In community building, third place refers to the social surroundings separate from the two usual social environments of home and the workplace. Examples are environments like churches, cafes, clubs, public libraries, parks, or often Starbucks coffee shops are created to be third places by design. And well, you get the idea of the function of a third place. So, from a health point of view, it is suggesting here that virtual locations can actually be a wonderful third place, especially down there, people living with chronic diseases, needing support, etc.
Hmm. Hmm.
People who maybe can't get to a suitable third place in the organic world can obviously still experience the third place by having an immersive environment online. Nothing new about all that, but always good to see it being promoted for uh, reasons like that. Okay, rock and roll time. The Pink Floyd. Yes.
Hmm.
This you'll find this at loudersound.com. Nothing to do with James here. Uh,
Not yet.
LOUDERSOUND.com. Yes, with a WW what's it in front of it if you really probably don't need it. Right, get up and close personal with a selection of iconic Pink Floyd images thanks to AR technology. Now, I, I must say something that is not to do with this, but is to do with the picture I'm showing now. Um, I listened to Dave Gilmore's talks online, probably a week ago or so
Hmm.
now. And it might have been in YouTube, or I think it was in YouTube actually. And it was, strictly speaking, it was audio. But they did a genius job with this image where over the course of about half an hour, it actually changes. These twisted lampposts, as it were, unravel, but very slowly. You don't really notice it happening. And also, the camera is moving up from behind towards the woman in the distance. And then there's one place where the loop literally returns to the start point again.
Hmm.
But again, you can barely see the loop happening. You blink and you look back and think, hang on, what? And it's like a puzzle, and it's great at focusing your eyes while you're listening to what is otherwise just an audio interview.
Yeah, not
Anyway, so
not causing a burn in on your screen.
no, yeah, yes, exactly. It's a bit like a screensaver kind of
Yeah, yeah,
effect too. Yeah. I guess they thought if they're doing audio using YouTube for audio, they better come up with typical Pink Floyd. They better come up with something interesting to put with it.
yeah.
Um, anyway, they've been releasing box sets galore at the moment, including um, the later years. Although I think there's already one, maybe it's later years volume two, which looks at 87 onwards. And a UK tech studio draw and code develops an augmented reality experience that gets fans up close and personal with Pink Floyd's classic artworks. And they really, actually, most of the artwork that you associate with Pink Floyd is Thorg, Thorgerson. Whoa, and Peter. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I know the artist concerned, but I can't remember their names offhand.
Hmm.
Thorgerson, or is it? Anyway, um, and it's all the more recent period, a lapse of reason, division bell, and pulse. Uh, you point your camera in your home, or indeed out in the open air, tap the screen and experience some iconic Floyd images that you can then walk around and examine closely. You can take screenshots, share them on social media using hashtags, and each piece of art is accompanied by music from the selected album. And oh yes, here we are. The podcast I was referring to is the Lost Art of Conversation, which is a very odd title, but there again, they're funny that way. Um, yeah. Okay, so bit of AR there for you. I must admit, their websites and things like that, and there are a few. The official ones really have tended to lead in interactive. Everything from the days of Flash onwards, they've been really leading in, as you might expect, really, for such a visual band. Uh, their online stuff. Anyway,
Yep.
stop rabbiting here. Right, final one before I have to go and find some more, and it's called right. Do you remember the White Album by the Beatles?
Yeah. Or the hypergrid business.
It's not actually. It's
It's not. Okay.
vrscout.com. Eighth Wall's new tool offers dramatic improvements to WebVR development. This isn't Mozilla Hubs, but it's very similar. WebVR projects are now easier to create and publish through the Eighth Wall's new project template.
Hmm.
And developers using Eighth Wall software have quick access to Code Foundation to build projects upon. The WebVR template is an A-frame project for Oculus Quest, designed to assist developers building interactive CDOF WebVR experience. And yeah, it's got sort of examples. Definitely one for the coders here. You're not going to get any instant 3D photorealistic stuff out of this, but you are getting a very quick way to author stuff that will work on the web as opposed to needing any other kind of download. So that is the end of this week. I have to go back a bit in my list at the side here that you can't see to find what we had before that. December 14th, 15th, of course, last weekend, while we were at conference. Okay, starting with this one. This is December 14th. Um, this is the Virtual Worlds Journal of Virtual Worlds Research. This is https://journals.tdl.org. O-R-G. And you look for Journal of Virtual World Research, and basically the articles. Um, I think there has been a recent issue out, and this would be one of the things. Yeah, oh god, I know. Yeah, right. This is user characteristics, trace versus state emotion, presence in the first person virtual world. You get an abstract here, which is basically a quick summary, and I can't scroll down to it, but basically there's a link to a PDF underneath, so you can either look at that online or download the full PDF because, as is normal with academia, it is long. Article, but interesting if you like that kind of thing. Right, moving on. Uh, Uh, oh, oh, that's a retweet from Blair saying he's speaking on my panel. Yes, very nice of him. Right. Okay. One of my Second Life tweets has gone to the wrong stream. Over a week ago. I can't do anything about that now. Sorry, folks. Right. VRScout.com. This one. 2020 Sundance Film Festival. Absolutely stacked with experimental immersive media. VRScout.com. I'm moving hastily through these. Voicesofvr.com. Uh, quite a few. quite a few as ever. Oh God, go a bloody way! Right, it's not
Pay up,
letting me click.
pay up.
No, it's just I want to take part in the bloody competition. No, I
Oh,
don't.
oh,
I
okay.
want to read an article.
Oh, I thought it was
Okay,
solicitation.
yeah. Our friends at voicesofvr.com, voicesofvr.com. Basically, that's a home where you will find a whole load of podcasts. Um, Either about virtual reality or augmented reality or tangential to the new media. And they've had ethical lessons from VR with documentary studies. They've got oral history of VR art with a MoMA guest curator. Um, Sundance, no, we did that. Um, the series the week before last was called Doc Lab. Um, Immersive storytelling and lessons with experiments in VR distribution to UK libraries. MIT Open Documentary with Labs Williams, somebody looking at VR with a comparative media studies lens. Oh God, some of these. ARTE's case, somebody on funding immersive storytelling and the history of new mediums. Preserving avant-garde digital culture and VR embodiment explorations. Whew. Humanizing the MH17 plane crash from a Ukrainian point of view with VR. They've particular one that. And yep, that seems to be it for Voices of VR. But as I said, quite a few in that basically Dog Lab series. Right, going back to December the 10th, an article at Tech Republic. Yep, it's loading. Oh, kind of it. Right, grayed out, of course. So when I'm showing you these pages, I've already got rid of the cookie pop-ups and everything. Usually, but not on this
I'm
lot.
Tom Merritt for Tech Republic. Here are
Yeah, I
five
know you
reasons
are.
AR and
I normally kind of have time to get this stuff muted before we go on air, but I was reaching the point of so many tabs I was going to crash the machine.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Of course, this is interesting, but I think it's a very real point. We talk about take up of VR and AR and that and virtual worlds and will OpenSim here survive the modern world? But will the modern world, I haven't actually survived the modern world, but you just don't know what the future holds. But I think if there's going to be a prediction, this is quite on the ball. Internet of the senses is on the horizon, thanks to AR and VR. By 2030, technological advances will move humans from a screen-based world to a sense-based world. And this is research by Ericsson. And then they go on to tell you how. And I'm not going to spoil it. You're going to follow this link if you want to know that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because I haven't memorized it. But as you can see, they look at sight, they look at smell, they look at taste, they look at touch, they look at hearing, all the senses that we have, and how they're going to connect electronically in the future. Do remember that 2030 is still 20? No, it's not 20 years away. It's 10 years away. Well, it's still long enough, isn't it? So instead
10
of
years
looking
and
back
some
on it,
months, some
yeah, I know.
days.
Instead
Yeah.
of looking back on a decade, I've actually found this. I've actually found a site that's looking forward a decade. But I quite like that. I just when I saw the headline, I thought, yeah, that sort of made sense. The Internet of Senses. Um, you know, I mean, we use our senses when we read a web page and stuff like that. I don't know. It just, it's spatial computing, isn't it? Seems to be a phrase that's used a lot now. And the more of our, we only got five acknowledged real world senses anyway. I mean, there are others like empathy that might count, but we know we get in virtual worlds anyway. But I don't know. Internet of the senses. So it's a bit more specific than the Internet of Things. And
Mm-hmm.
once somebody invented IoT, I think that we had no choice but to start stepping backwards in our definitions. Because if the Internet of Things exists, then what can you have? The internet, you can't go beyond things, can you? You got to
Mm.
have specific things. Anyway, rabbit holing. Yep. Find this at www techrepublic.com. I'll spell that TECHREPUBLIC.com. And the post was on December the 10th. I'm sure you'll find these, one of their week old or so, but I'm sure you'll find them if you require. Magic Leap. Um, This is a post at TheVerge.com. Basically, they're renaming their AR headsets to attract business customers.
Hmm.
I'm not quite sure what they're renaming it to. Uh, right. Magic Leap 1 will replace the original Creator Edition. I mean, Magic Leap is Magic Leap, but I don't quite get this. They must have had some funny name for the headset. Same headset in a different market. That was the point of the article, really, is that they're refocusing Magic Leap on enterprise and business rather than the consumer, which isn't surprising given the cost of Magic Leap headsets in the first place. The only good thing about them is they look slightly more presentable, as you can see there, than the big helmets that Facebook think we want. Right, moving on, moving on. Oppo. December the 10th here, we're getting near to a fortnight ago. Oppo have announced their new augmented reality glasses. This is again at Virtual Reality Times, threlongwords.com. And Oppo Inno Day, they held a conference in China, which is where they're from. And they unveiled their first augmented reality glasses that feature 3D reconstruction technology, etc., etc. Okay, I'm moving on quickly here for obvious reasons. Okay, now before we got the news, which was midweek last week about High Fidelity pulling back and whatever, Philip Rosedale at High Fidelity actually had an article up on the High Fidelity Com blog, which is housed at Medium, I believe, and it was called Requiem for the HMD, head-mounted display. And makes perfect sense too. I mean, yeah, regular listeners to this show know that I'm not the super greatest enthusiast of helmets.
Hmm.
Am I, Jay?
Could say that. Could
I
say
don't
that.
think
Yeah.
I am. Yeah, yeah.
That's
Right.
that's
So
fair.
Philip, so Philip popped up and said there's four hard things that need to happen before HMDs can replace mobile and desktop screens. Um, they're getting niche, modest consumer successes, niche gaming devices, specialized industrial training and visualizing applications that match their high cost and low utility. And they will be remembered in computer museums all over the world.
Hmm.
I love it. Good old Philip.
Hmm.
But as a VR platform developer, that and 390 that and $3.95 gets you a caramel frappuccino at Starbucks. Don't quite.
Sarcasm.
I don't remember that bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's what needs to happen for the revolution to happen, as it were. It is there need to be things that can be worn all day. Um, the weight needs to drop to the same as something like ski goggles, about 300 grams. Great one for detail for them. Um, the displays need to be see through. So it's not just VR but AR. In fact, in my opinion, it needs to be both. You know, it needs to be switchable to from semi-opaque to opaque kind of thing. Nice picture here. Guy's having an accident because he's not see-through. Right. Um, you need to be able to see the world around you while you're using these things. I couldn't agree more. There's great minds think alike here, I think. Right. Um, high latency no, sorry, high resolution, low latency pass through cameras might be a solution there. And the Varjo thing we mentioned earlier, I know about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Philip wrote a piece because he'd actually tried that out, and he really that's a pass through system, and he liked it. Um, a resolution of pass through camera needs to be at least 2K per eye, so it's possible to read a keyboard for typing. Um, Basically, it needs to be not good enough for just the visual of reading. Sorry, of video and environments and stuff, but it also needs to be good enough to literally read an article. And that means it's got to, imagine putting a PDF in your viewer. That's got to be pretty high resolution to read even if you've got large print to actually see the text clearly. Um, and it would need to if it would probably needs to be anti-alias too, of course, which adds to the display on um, text. Uh, oh, what's this? Don't give me any of that crap about how you're going to use your voice. Try working all day using just voice commands. You think I've written this article with my voice?
Mm-hmm.
Duh, duh, Scotty was wrong. Standard computer keyboard, modern day typist cranks out 52 words a minute. People who use both thumbs on the mobile keyboard are actually typing at 38 words per minute, which isn't actually that much less. And younger kids can type even faster than that. To get utility out of a head-mounted display, we need to be able to use a mouse or some kind of point-and-click interaction and a keyboard. It's funny, I reckon 2 years ago he wouldn't have said that, but there we go. Um, Hand controls VR keyboards are a far cry from being adequate. Anyway, he goes on about this, and as I said, this is before the latest news from High Fidelity, his own platform itself. Basically, the same quality as the desktop screen. Um, when will the second version emerge? Anyway, quite a good article, even if you're ignoring the hi-fi side of that and changes at hi-fi. It's an interesting um, um, idea of where a head-mounted display will need to go before it's ever going to be really usable outside niche gamers and specific enterprises. Um, Requiem for the HMD. Nice. Good at titles too, he is. Yeah. Right. Where are we? Google unveils AR Core Depth API to make AR more natural and interactive. Let me see. This was December 9th. Our last time we were with you was on December 8th, if I got that right. Does that sound right, James?
Um,
Would 8th have been, let's see,
14. Yeah, that sounds
14,
about right.
13,
Yep.
12, 11, 10, 9.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it would be about 8. Okay, so these are the last couple of articles, I think, from the week we missed, the week that went disappeared. Bring on Agatha Christie, I say. The week that disappeared. Right, Google unveils AR called Depth API to make AR more natural and interactive. This is to do with the depth map, which gives you a sense of distance between the foreground and backgrounds and stuff. And it's, I guess, an algorithm of sorts to enable a single um, RPG camera to sense those levels of depth. Um, just one of those interesting little things that could, that could have implications for all sorts of things if they get it right. I imagine that is actually Google Labs at the moment, but anyway, quite a lot of information you can read about there. And one more for December 9th, then we'll be back to the 8th, which we probably did before. Um, This one again, quite curious. There was an old TV series called Twin Peaks, and a movie, and another TV series, and ooh, all over the place. It's got a big cult following, and the Twin Peaks VR has got a trailer out offering a dive into David Lynch's mind. David Lynch, incidentally, was the director. It's happening again of Twin Peaks. And if you suspected that Twin Peaks VR would be a head trip, you guessed correctly.
It better be. Right.
It better be, yes. I mean, yeah, Twin Peaks was never an easy watch. You really have to
Yeah.
be in a mood for following the
For
unknown
trusting the director.
yeah, yes, the unknown diversions.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this is Twin Peaks VR. There's a trailer at YouTube, as you can see, and it's current. I'm not actually sure. Yeah, it's going to be on Steam, PC, and HTC, or any Oculus-made headset. and eventually PlayStation later. Don't expect this to be a full-fledged game. You can find Easter eggs and discover hidden secrets, but this is more of a guided tour through iconic places in the Twin Peaks universe than anything else. It might be more than enough if you're a devotee, though, as it's just a question of whether or not full title can come close to replicating the atmosphere of the show. Oof, I'm out of breath. How do you get out of breath just talking?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to
Yeah,
talk about.
yeah, I know. And you're trying to rush it through.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm flipping through all our little links there again. Right, I'm just going to move to Metaworld News because we're 2 weeks of whatever. This one is very interesting. I was mentioning this to James before we came on air. This is another article that's actually at Forbes. So you want www.forbes.com, Forbes.com. If you want the links to this lots that are coming up now, you need to be at twitter.com/metaworldnews, not the regular Malbones one. Uh, if you're into 3D modeling or anything like that, you almost certainly know DAS 3D. I mean, they're mailing me 2 or 3 times a week for gone about last 10 years, offering me models of this, that, and the other. What is actually interesting is that they've joined Sciencebase, the 3D virtual world we're rather fond of, or one of the ones we're fond of, to bring hyper-realistic avatars to the virtual world platform. There's an example one. That's called the Bruce. That's do you think that looks like Marcus Llewellyn?
No.
No. Okay.
Nope.
Okay. His avatar is normally this thick set thing, like the Incredible Hulk, whatever. Okay. I'm trying to summarize here. These 3D models, by the way, made by DAS 3D, have been used in films like Captain America and Iron Man. So you really are talking quality. Um, Models of this quality and fidelity aren't usually available to the general public, but DAS 3D is aiming to democratize that by joining ranks with SciSpace. Starting this month, you'll be able to try on DAS 3D characters and accessories from the in-game store. And instead of visiting a mall to shop for clothes, players will be touring a selection of digital humanoid avatars, a bit reminiscent of the scenes from Ready Player One, where Parcel is showing off different avatars and hairstyles. Uh, yeah, the boot model. Right, okay, there is a video on YouTube to go with this, of course. Um, Quotes from the revenue officers of Dust 3D saying they're thrilled to be with you in space. Uh, We're big fans of Sciencespace's efforts to preserve the detail of our high quality figures whilst also optimizing them for real time performance. We also appreciate their commitment to protecting the intellectual property rights of the content creators on their platform. So that, of course, being down as 3D, that would have been pretty essential that Sciencespace were able to offer things like copyright protection.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Right, it's rare that Sciencebase could be able to offer resources of such high quality. A new set of 10 to 20, including skin tech, clothing, and morph shapes, are being released every week on Sciencebase. They are selling from $1 for individual pieces to over $10 for entire character sets, which ain't bad at all, given what they are. Um, okay, Sciencebase has reportedly signed over 50,000 registered accounts and paying users are spending an average of 22 US dollars per month on in-game content such as vehicles, homes, etc., etc. Um, so it certainly fits within the world economy and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So very good news. And the only thing I don't know is whether I could, for example, if I'm in Sciencebase, this avatar, like here at the moment, um, his lips don't move. Although a normal Sciencebase avatar does have moving lips. And I'll be interested to maybe pick up one of the Dust 3D ones, avatars to play with, and find out whether it supports lip movement and all that stuff. But um, if you if you check out this article, by the way, which is www.forbes.com, you can click on the link here to the Science Based Shop. And just to prove the point really, they've got 112 store items already in the DAS originals, and there's some examples of. Um, that's the top, I think, and that's the hoodie. Slinky panties. I don't know why they even bother with that pair. Let's see. I'm trying to find some full avatars. I think they did. Oh, that, yeah. Oh, good look. There's 8 pages of this already. Um, there we are. Shape and skin. Darius. Toad witch with green bundle. Oh well, they're nice anyway. I better not dwell on this, or I could be
you,
here all
you're
day. But
shopping, right?
yes, I know. I'm not getting shopping here at the moment, but yes, I will be browsing in world. I will be looking at that shop to see what I can get. Uh, as far as I know, I have more than enough currency in that platform as well. Right, where was I? Oh God, yeah. Hypergrid business, of course, when it's just going. Oh no, it's loaded. Very good. This week, December users are up on conference and holiday events. Basically, the users in OpenSync grids, which don't include the Outworlds grids, by the way, which is huge network in itself now. Um, but on the basic OpenSim, it's all up. It is suspected that the OpenSync Community Convention of last weekend would have actually um, boost uh, um, boost active users as well. Uh, you can also add your grid to the stats if it's not been crawled by Outworlds. Outworlds, what's all that about? Uh, right. Stats do not include most of the grids running Outworlds, and then here it says you can add Outworlds by doing something. Hey, go to Maria and figure it out for yourself, right? Hypergridbusiness.com, and that post was December 19th, which was just a couple of days ago. Right, very extensive article here, and we are getting into the area of opinion. This is a medium again, so you might well be advised to follow the link at twitter.com Metaverse News because being Twitter, it will bypass the paywall. How to virtually hang out. Wrong thing. High fidelity. What went wrong? Basically, long look at what went wrong at high fidelity following the news about 10 days ago. Um, I personally, it's a very good long article, as you could probably tell. In fact, I don't think I'm even going to get to the bottom of it. The future, it looks high fidelity isn't dead, or at least the code isn't. There are already at least 2 projects using the code as foundations for new platforms: Project Athena and Tivoli Cloud VR, and probably more announced in the future. Um, where the murmurs, no, thought. Right, yeah, fourth version of the client will probably need a different interface viewer. Right, it goes on and on and on, I'm afraid. Um, I don't personally agree with everything that is said in that article, but I'm impressed that somebody actually, took time to write a long article, examining, doing a kind of what is really a post-mortem for the current incarnation of high fidelity, no holds barred kind of thing. So you can find that at well, you'll probably have to follow the link in the feed actually. It's medium.com, and then it's the slash the at symbol, and then Thea9, which is this. I'm putting my mouse on here. 3D and backslash, and then you'll get to his selection of articles, and it will be the most recent one there. But again, I'd follow the link directly if you can, much easier. Um, right, so oh god, right, social VR again. This is Upload VR. Again, this is about alternatives to Oculus Rooms. How to virtually hang out with friends on Oculus Go post rooms. And I like the fact this is Oculus Go. I've got one of them. not to ever put it on, but it's nice to think that I could use it if I did. Right, Facebook shut down the built-in social platform back in October, but there are multiple third-party alternatives you can try. Now, the proper fully fledged Oculus Quest, I think, has even more too, but including their New Horizons thing. Um, but the Rooms team have been moved to Facebook Horizon, yeah, but that's not supported on Oculus Go. So these are the ones you can get on Oculus Go. You can have VTime XR, um, pretty little picture there in enclosed. You can use big screen, which we mentioned earlier, which is like the IMAX theater in your face. You can use Alt Space VR, which is pretty tacky in my opinion. And actually, I'm surprised. I'm almost certain you can use VR chat on. I'm
On the go?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, on the go because I've been in there and I went when I
Okay.
went in there recently on my desktop. I recognised it from the 3D version, so I've definitely been able to get to it on the go.
Hmm.
I sure didn't get to it with cardboard. That's the only other one I've got. Right, okay, moving on. 4 days ago. Oh, that's yeah. Sorry. Hypergrid Business again has a post saying readers are optimistic about OpenSim's future, and it looks like Hypergrid Business might be doing a white screen job on me again. Oh no, here it comes. I've actually discovered one of the problems with Hypergrid Business is the advertising and all the tracking and everything else that Maria's got on her site really slows down its loading. Um, I ought to take her to task for that, but I think she's probably making a quick buck here and there through one thing or another. Um, okay, readers are optimistic about OpenSim's future generally, so that's good. And this survey was before the actual conference, so it's not as a result of the conference. Obviously, being Maria, she's got 1,001 charts to prove her point. Um, the average score was 3.2 last year, and this year the optimism sort of clock has gone up to 3.3, so it's more optimistic than earlier. More bar charts. Yay! Don't you love what
Hmm.
people do? Oh, I love Maria. Yes. Do you think she shared this program once and somehow gave you an audio commentary on all this?
Hmm. Yeah, it was good.
Uh, it used to take longer than me. Gosh, golly. Right, okay, so find that at hypergridbusiness.com. More recent posts there. Let's put away the things that we've finished with. I'll just keep our pretty picture open there. Not much more to go. I promise. I promise. I know you're all getting. Phew, when are you going to stop? Right. Um, Here we are. Okay, another click on that actually gives you a login page. This is Hubs by Mozilla. Now, the URL I'm loading here is hubs.mozilla. That's Mozilla dot com, com. So hubsmozilla.com. And then I've got the backslash, and then I've got in capital letters ZRPZ, and then in lowercase rs, and then the number 8. And unfortunately, I can't scroll this because it's an interactive page, and it won't let me scroll the page because it's a single screen. But this is the lobby for their office hours. Now I went there and I was talking to one lady there on Wednesday, um, but apparently the main office hours now, the one with a lot of people at it, is on Fridays, and it's at good grief, I need to do a bit of calculation here. It's actually at 7 p.m. in the evening in the UK here. So I need to do a bit of. Well, I'll let you do the conversions, folks. Right, 7 p.m. in the UK on Fridays, And you can, there's two buttons at the bottom here. You can either enter on a standalone VR, which is it means a headset, or you can simply enter the room on screen here, and you then hop in and start chatting to people. The lobby's outside here, and I think you go in the building for the main office hours. Um, anyway, so we have a link and a bit of PR, so to speak, for that too. God, we've got quite a lot of these fancy screens today, haven't we?
Hmm.
Right. Microsoft social VR platform Altspace VR gets improved event hosting. Well, they can't be any worse than they were, really. There you go. No change to the avatars. At least they do have below the waist on some of them. Allspace VR has got updated with renewed emphasis on event hosting. It's always been possible to hop into Allspace VR to hang out and chat, but the platform's honing in on a use case where users come to the virtual world now to see specific live events. Same strategy, really, that Linden Lab have moved onto with Sansar. Um, let's see. Intended to be a preeminent community. Yeah, Microsoft's intention to build a preeminent community hasn't quite come to pass, they say, with other social VR apps like Rec Room, VR Chat, and Big Screen appearing to draw significantly more users. So yeah, Microsoft say they're learning from that
Hmm.
and trying to do something. Oh, on the other hand, that I don't know about the avatars, but there's a good set for me. Ah, there's a new set. There's a new set. Okay, but I don't. Yeah, I don't know moving or anything in old space. But anyway, if you're a fan of old space, that is very good news for you. I am sure. Right. Winter Festival of Fun. Here we are. This is early in the week. This week, a post from Science Space, not about their DAS 3D avatars, but the most wonderful team of the year, of course. Their Winter Festival schedule starting, in fact, Saturday 21st was yesterday, wasn't it? And Sunday, that's all the stuff that's on today. And then all the stuff that's on tomorrow and Tuesday. And even stuff on a Wednesday. Gosh, golly, spend the Xmas day having a snowball fight. Yes, gosh. And on Thursday and on Friday. Oh, yeah, and next weekend. Oh, well, they're really going at it here, aren't they? And New Year's Eve. Right, that's definitely covering the winter season, isn't it? As they say. Okay, find that at blog.sign.space. So blog dot, SINE dot space. But don't make the mistake of putting blog sign space dot sign space because it's worded differently there. Right, I'll follow the Twitter link, of course. Um, Right. I mentioned that there's some offshoot things coming out as a result of High Fidelity's implosion, shall we say. And this is one of the first blog posts from Tivoli Cloud VR, which have actually been working on this for quite a while, predating the implosion I mentioned. They described their natural approach to social VR, emphasis on social VR, of course. This is the project started by Caitlin Meeks, who is, well, she used to work with High Fidelity anyway, so she should know what she's doing. Um, and she talks about what they're doing. Mission simple. Want to create an easy to use, scalable, delightful social VR service that people really enjoy using. We want people to feel terrifically empowered by the limitless possibilities of VR while at the same time feeling extremely cozy and at home. They've been hard at work on the technical challenges, but thinking a lot about design philosophy too. I haven't got a drink by me today. No wonder
Oh.
my voice is going all wah wah.
Hmm. Okay.
I'll hand over to you in a minute, James, and go and get myself a drink. Oh dear, dear. Right. Yeah. Anyway, so kind of a mission statement and a whole lot more there, really. Um, looking at real world architecture too, which is, they're citing these examples. In other words, she doesn't want that in virtual reality, but what she does want in virtual reality is something like that. And I think I would wholeheartedly agree. Formed organically over the centuries, whereas, what does she say about that one? Master planned, cold, and lifeless. That's in London, by the way. Poor
Mm.
us. Yeah, and she invites you to join their Discord server, and they have a feature request channel. And as you can see, they've got that's her embedded version of the Discord server, or you can simply click there if you join their Discord channel. So great stuff there. All right. Walking into pictures, hypergrid. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that one. That was the latest hypergrid hoppers, but they've already done their hopping, so we don't need that at all, do we? Um, okay, now I mentioned, we do Open Simulator conferences past, so I think all we have left here. Um, Another blog from Mozilla, blog.mozvr.com. That's MOZVR, so blog.mozvr.com. And talking about getting WebXR into version 1 of Mozilla Hubs uh, using an emulator and Firefox, Chrome, etc., etc. Techie stuff here, mostly web components and stuff, but interesting if you're a developer and especially want to do stuff on the web, basically, virtual worlds on the web, that is more specific. And really, really, this is the final one, and we're back to high fidelity again. This is highfidelity.com /blog, and same as where Philip's earlier editorial was. This one's called Updates and a New Beginning. And this was the blog where December 11th, in fact, where Philip announced the implosion, basically, of he talks about the slow take up of HMNDs from the other article. And he then says, they've had to change their thing, etc., etc. And going back to the lab, really. And Commonwealth of Codebase. He's talking about open sourcing the GitHub. Everything pretty much stays as, except for their involvement until January the 15th. That's when you'll start finding a few things disappear, and they are recommending that you go to GitHub and download the repository um, now while it's still there. Um, they will be taking it down, or rather, they will be making it private, which would imply to me that they will still be working on the code, but whatever they do next will not be shared on GitHub. Right, and there is a link here too. Which I actually used for prompts on my panel, in fact, last week. The link goes to answers. And this is forums.highfidelity.com. And it's facts, basically, about company update, the new beginning. And it answers all the questions you might have about your accounts, what's happening to your money, is the blockchain still being used, and what's going and what's not going, etc., etc. And I've also one of the questions here, by the way, is can they get a license for the audio codec? And they say sorry, no. But I
Hmm.
did hear a rumor that it might, as a financial option, um, it might be that that will be possible, but it's obviously not covered in this sort of general statement for end users. So there you go. Let me close up all the pieces, and I'm not going to worry about my drink because yay hey, what? I'm finished somehow,
Somehow.
somewhen. It happened. It's now 2049, so we started at blooming egg. Right, we started at nearly 8:30.
Yeah, I have an
Nine,
hour and 24 minutes on the clock here.
have you? That would be 2 hours, 24 minutes. or 1 hour?
Well, the stream has been going for an hour and 24 minutes.
Oh, okay, not too bad, not too
Not
bad.
too
I
bad.
don't,
Not a
I don't know
record.
why. I don't know why I was looking. Oh, hang on, 2049 is it? Yeah, okay. Oh, I get confused.
Mm-hmm.
One moment I'm looking at British time, then I'm looking at Pacific
Oh,
time, and
right.
then I
Right.
realise that my mathematics aren't quite what they used to be. For some reason, I keep thinking two and two is five, or was it 99? I can't remember. Right, so your thoughts, James, really, before we vanish into the experience
Into
of
the ethers.
into
The
space and time.
Phillips Requiem for the headset. I mean, honestly, Maria would chastise me for saying anything like this, but honestly, all of these contraptions and straps and, for smell, we're going to have a little odor, box, a little sniffer underneath our nose, and,
Yeah.
all of these contraptions to access these spaces are eventually going to fall away to some kind of a um, direct input to the nervous system. And I mean,
Ah,
everything is going to be a compromise up until that point. It's just going to be, how much do you want to spend on this compromise? How much do you want to commit to this compromise? But it's still all compromises. So yeah, the HMD is, it's one of the, it's a very heavy compromise, and it's not the ideal compromise, but it is what
ah,
we have now. And there are actually a lot of platforms that are making good use of it as an interim technology. It's always going to be
ah.
interim,
And we do have things like Magic Leap and a lot of the augmented reality glasses, which are like
right?
spectacles, and
And Apple is churning
and,
something. We
and
don't
as
know
Philip
what.
mentioned, they should nothing should be heavier than a pair of goggles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is probably the point. But no, you're right. I
But even
mean,
goggles are too heavy, ultimately.
yeah. I mean, if I'm if I'm dreaming up some science fiction story, set far enough in the future, and I don't mean distant future, I just mean a bit beyond near future, then it's we're already moving to the point where the internet, the online facilities are all around us. We're also moving sadly to the point where that internet of space around us is rapidly being monopolized by people like, well, particularly Facebook. I mean, there are, of course, a certain amount of it. You've got Apple, Google, Microsoft, and things doing it. But I mean, the real biggie of the biggies is Facebook. And
Well,
wouldn't
don't
surprise
forget
me in 10 years.
Amazon. Most of all these things run on Amazon. So
Yeah, that's true.
don't
Yeah,
forget
they're the
that.
other one.
Yeah.
But I wonder how long before we'll see some of those consolidating. How long before Apple and Microsoft somehow join up, where to develop
Wow.
operating
I can't believe you
systems.
said that.
Oh no, well, there's, I'm not the only one that Apple have not innovated since Steve Jobs died.
Yeah.
I mean, they have produced some remarkable products and improved products, um, but they haven't innovated anything. The last thing, well, I suppose, the last thing that was remotely innovative was the Apple Watch, but they
Hmm.
weren't the first of the
No.
wearable
Android
trackers.
Android had that.
Apple have always been very good at doing the perfect version of what's required, but
Hmm.
um, in other words, the best of the best and the most expensive too. One hastens to add, but they, in the days of Steve Jobs, they really did innovate. The Macintosh itself was such a major innovation that changed desktop computing.
Hmm.
The iPad, well, no, the iPod was a major innovation.
Right.
There had been MP3 players before, but nothing as complex as what the iPod, well, basically as a forerunner of the iPhone.
Hmm.
And the iPad itself, that was like dropping out of space. That was real science fiction. Although, there were carbon copies of the thing within months, but,
Hmm.
that was innovation. But there hasn't really been much since then. I mean, people are hoping that the glasses or whatever they come up with for spatial computing will be. I don't think there will be an innovation. I think the innovation in this field has probably left Apple behind, and unless they're working on something already,
Hmm.
they are buying up a lot of stuff. Um, I suspect when they come up with something, it will probably be the best of it be a best of kind kind of thing.
Hmm.
There probably won't be any competition, but I doubt, Every new iPad every year, every new iPhone has got new stuff in it, but none of it is innovatory. They're just updating it with more things that,
And
to make it more,
refining it.
yeah, a more. Machine.
Hmm.
They don't want to be stuck with, just a faster processor and no other facilities. It's so I don't know. I mean, you're right. I can't see a merger like that one I mentioned happen, but
That's good.
it's I sort of I want maybe there was a time in the past where Microsoft bought up shares in Apple, and arguably they rescued Apple.
Yeah.
It was not when Steve Jobs was there, if I recall, but and as a result, I've had a stake in Apple ever since. But these days, maybe it'd be the other way around. Maybe Apple would save Microsoft
Yeah. Who knows?
because
Right.
that would play well because Microsoft may be on the way out, but they have such a legacy market. You know, nobody's going to give up Microsoft software. For a couple of decades.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know. For example, on my Mac, I've downloaded Parallels, which allows me to run
Right.
Windows apps on the Mac now. And I think well, no, I don't think you can run Mac apps on the. You can connect Windows to iOS now, so you can plug in your
Yeah.
iPad and stuff. But
Yeah.
well,
Well,
no.
I think you reported on the story on who's actually working on neural interface, and that's Tesla and Elon Musk.
Oh yeah,
So, who knows where that one's going to come from?
yeah, and the yeah, yeah, we certainly got talk about built-in uh, eye rendering types of contact
Right.
glasses and things that won't be in the nervous system,
Direct to
but
the
will be,
brain, Mel. It's got to be direct to the
yeah,
brain.
yeah, and the way it treats the optics rather than like it projects inwards or something, so it projects
Doesn't
onto
matter. If it's
retinas.
direct to the brain, there's no optics involved.
Oh yeah, yeah, sure. But I'm talking about halfway points.
Oh, okay.
I
Compromise.
think.
Compromise.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like a lycra glove that is so lightweight you hardly recognise you're wearing it. As
Hmm.
opposed to one of the clunky gloves you've got at the moment. They'll all get smaller, more miniaturised, better, and and hopefully it's the things that capture the public imagination at work, like phones did. Because the moment people want enough of one, even if it's expensive, then clones come out and the market price goes down and it starts to become ubiquitous. And before you know it, everybody will get one, whether the entry level is cheap or whether they got the money to go for the top of the range,
Hmm.
like phones did or stuff like that. Helmets haven't, or any of the other interfaces haven't gone like that. Headphones, of course, are ubiquitous,
Hmm.
as are phones. Um, But none of our gloves and built-in jackets with sensors in them and all that clothing, none of it has really caught the public imagination yet. Something's got to come along that is related to this space, as it were,
Hmm.
that will be something easy for the mass market to adopt and provide a function, that you just can't ignore, you know. Um, And, who knows what, but, back when we were in the early days of Second Life, when we are talking virtual reality being this communication platform and all the things we could do, nobody was thinking of how, this is what, only 15, 20 years ago, but
Hmm.
nobody at the time was thinking how ubiquitous mobile phones would be.
Right.
To the extent that they've replaced our normal phones, this is Star Trek communicator territory. We haven't got the beam me up bit yet, but
Right. Yep.
it's his science fiction come to life. But nobody can predict the obvious thing, like what would capture the public imagination. Um, I don't know if you told me, saying I bet if you told me 20 years ago that I bet within the next 5 years mobile phones are going to be the biggest thing ever. I doubt if I'd have said, "Oh, absolutely, I agree, it's unmistakable."
Right.
We just don't know. But I mean, some people are very good at having a knack for what people want. I guess.
Yep,
Anyway, we better wrap. We better
we
wrap.
can
My
wrap it
throat
up.
is,
Yep.
my mouth is getting incredibly
Yeah, you're
dry.
going to need a drink. Right.
I definitely am. I forgot to get one beside me before
Yep.
we began. Okay, well, we will be back here with news in 2 weeks' time. Next this time next week will of course be between the seasonal holiday and then the new year. So our next show will be a few days into the new year, and we'll be able to wish you a happy new year. But we can't do that yet because we haven't got there. We'll also be wishing you a happy new decade, and I will be
Oh my goodness.
remembering
All
my
right.
2020 vision. I hope. Or will I go back to 1920? Who knows? Who knows? This is the other thing about predicting the future. You really can't know what's going to come out of my mouth from one minute to the next, including me. All
Ah.
right, there we are. That's the rabbit hole story for this week.
All right.
I don't know what I'm talking about. So why have you been listening to me for nearly 2 hours? Right. Okay. You can tell it's a silly season, if indeed it's a silly season, but it is as far as I'm concerned. I'm giggling and blah. Right. Um, okay. I think that's it. Let us both wish you all a good holiday period in our absence, and we will see you in the new year. So it's goodbye from him on the cameras and stuff.
And it's goodbye from him on all the content and stuff.
It's goodbye from the two of us. In other words, wasn't that neat? You see, it all stops together when you do that.
That's right.
Mathematics again.
Synchronicity.
Useless. Synchronicity, that's what I mean. Yeah. Okay, so thanks for watching this week. We'll be back in 2 weeks and we'll see you then. If you haven't eaten too much and drunk too much and can still stand up and all that stuff. Yeah. Bye bye.